Let's get that started. All right. So go ahead and why don't you introduce the three topics from what you understand we're going to be doing. So let me just put a disclaimer. This is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be fun. So Cheryl and I are going to bounce off of each other. You just have to play along. So go ahead, give us your take on what you think our three topics will be.
So tonight we're talking about niching down, right? So whether or not you should niche, and that's a pretty big topic because a lot of coaches don't know whether to niche, or even not even just coaches, just entrepreneurs, businesses in general, find that difficult. And then deciding and then systems is like a really big thing, right? So we teach them manually how to create a system. New coaches don't have the funds or a lot of the times to actually start with a paid system for to get their back office in order. So that is a really big consideration. And then the third one was
marketing as an operation of your business.
And then the third one was marketing in your business. Yeah. And then just, again, you're talking about funds and organization and strategy on marketing. And again, you get like some starter stuff to market yourself, but how do you really start bringing in those prospects and then start turning them into clients? And those are the three things that we kind of both have identified. And I think they're good topics, and then we're going to be able to give them some nice help suggestions in those areas.
Absolutely. And like you said, they are really big topics by themselves. And the reason we know they're really big topics is because there are a lot of shiny objects out there on those three topics. And so we're going to focus on giving you some keeping it real and taking it to the bottom line information, because we're only going to spend 30 minutes with you. So Cheryl and I, we're not going to be doing a whole lot of fluff. We're not pitching anything. We're going to give it to you straight the way we know it and the way that we have lived it and worked it in our business. And you can join us every month between now and August. We'll be here today. We'll be back on July 11th and again on August 8th. And on July 11th, we're going to focus on the 3 vital systems every coach needs to know and have. And on August 8th, we're going to focus on marketing as an operation in your business and not as an event. We'll be looking at things like lead generation, scheduling, onboarding, things of that sort. I'm sorry, those are the systems. The marketing is around the operation, making it a part of your business and not an event. So those are the things we're going to focus on over the next few months, and you just can pencil us into your calendars and join in with us. So let's go ahead and jump in on our first topic. And again, let me just officially introduce you to Cheryl Thacker, because she was instrumental in my journey into my coach business. And she is the founder and supervising coach of Successful Coaches Enterprise LLC. And she also partners with coaches and entrepreneurs to take their business to different levels of success, as well as she mentioned, she's also the director of training for the World Coach Institute. Woohoo, my alum. I got it right. Plus, I want you to know this part. The show also runs a not-for-profit organization called Recovery Nation. And that one is the one that's close and dear to my heart, because my husband was addicted and has come over to the other side, and has this amazing new life with me. Well, I wasn't going to stand for it anyway. Once I learned the tricks, I figured it out. So I'm so honored to have you with me and going through this with me.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
All right. So question is, why is it too soon? When is the best time for a coach to think about their target market or niche?
Okay. So and this is my opinion. My opinion is the sooner you niche down, the easier things are going to get for you in your coaching business.
But if I niche, then I narrow, I kind of isolate other people, and I want to serve anyone who wants a change in their life.
But here's the thing. If you're trying to speak to the masses, right? And your message is so general so that it reaches the masses, and you're trying to attract them, what kind of an impact can you have on people? Specific impacts can you have on people when you're not focusing in on, their pain points, their needs, how they learn, how they process things. I mean, there's just a whole kind of world out there, another world out there, that once you're able to niche down, you can really start to focus in on how you're going to help the people that you want to help. And really, if you think about the marketing that comes behind a coaching business, when you have a specific niche, the marketing becomes easier, more targeted, and you're going to be able to get more response and attract more of the people that you're meant to work with. That's what I believe, that we're all meant to work with certain people. And if you're not focusing in on those people, and you're too far out, you're too much in the big world of things, then I think it lessens our impact very much. So,
okay, now let's make a distinction.
Okay.
Target market is one, and niche is another, right? They're not the same thing.
Okay, true. But they do correlate.
Yes,
right?
They do. I just want to make sure that everyone understands we're talking about two different things, and this is a double-edged question. So we have target market, who you want to serve, and then we have niche, which focuses on how you serve, or what's the focus of your service, kind of, sort of. So, for example, your target market could be women over 50 who have breast cancer. Women over 50 who have breast cancer is the niche. So you work with breast cancer survivors, women over 50 who are breast cancer survivors. There you go. Right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So one of the biggest challenges I find is defining your target market. What advice do you give coaches who say, my target market is between 18 and 65?
So what I try to do is back into the niche, right? So I ask them some questions, and basically, first of all, what is the coach's interests? What is their life experiences? And that could be things that have happened to them specifically, or it can be friends, family, just what they've had exposure to in their life. And then I like to ask them what they feel their strengths are. Again, how they're going to be reaching out to people, or how they're going to be helping people in their niche. And then, strengths as far as, what do we do good, or what do we feel we do good? And, where do we need work? So that we're not getting into an area where we don't really have any clue about what's going on. And then we're kind of left with, well, what am I doing here? How am I helping this person? I don't even know the language, or I don't even know, whatever's going on with them. And addiction recovery is a good example. When you're looking at niching to addiction recovery, well, first of all, there's a ton of different addiction, out there for people to have to recover from. And are you addressing all of those people? Are you what tools are you using in addiction recovery?
Well, which ones did you use?
So I don't have experience personally, but I had family members, and I had family members that needed help right away. And so I actually chose recovery first. That was my first niche. And I had read a ton of information on it. I had gone to classes. I had joined Recovery Nation. At that point, I wasn't the director there, and learned that whole health-based recovery, HBR model. And then I said, you know what? I have all this information, and I've helped other people with it. And now I want to concentrate by niching in my coaching towards that. So I had the experience. And I had the pain that goes along with being a partner and a sister and all this of other people that have had problems. So that's, again, looking at your past experiences, how you've dealt with things, and how the tools that you've used to deal with it. So that's what I use, is those type of tools, those coaching tools and those websites and information. And I said, you know what, I feel like I have this and I can really relate to other people and I can help them in the recovery arena. And it worked out perfect.
Yeah. And I know that in the world of recovery, a teenager going through recovery is a totally different person than someone later in life. So you can't work with everyone from 18 to 65 because they see the world differently, and
Right.
how you communicate and market to them is going to be different. You can't market to a millennial the same way you would to a baby boomer.
Absolutely. And that's a great example. So even though you might have a niche, addiction recovery, you need to have your target market in there as well. You need to go further into the niche and decide who you're going to help within that niche. So yeah, definitely. If you look at millennials, it's a different type of coaching, it's still coaching, but you have to coach and market to them differently than you do baby boomers. And they actually have classes now on how to, or webinars and stuff on how to coach to millennials, because it is a very different target market and
Absolutely.
different niche.
They even use different tools. They are so tech focused. There's apps for this and apps, and a baby boomer would say, I'm not using all of that. So, if you're going to work with millennials, they have a different way of communicating than a baby boomer. So you got to be really careful, because when you put your marketing messages together, you want to make sure you're attracting the right people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They got to know that you understand them and that you're trying to talk to them versus anybody else. And that really matters. Then the other part I thought about when you talked about recovery is the stage of that person. So
Yeah.
have they just started recovery, or have they come in at the other end of it? Now,
Yeah.
there's a difference, isn't there?
Yes. So you have, if you have people coming into it, there's still when they're first kind of dipping their toes in, basically, there's a lot of room for backsliding, and it's a big transition period. And so Recovery Nation talks about two transitions: a health-based recovery. You go from addiction to recovery, and then from recovery to health, right? So that's a big range.
Mm-hmm.
Your active addiction to health, that's a big range. And covering all of it as a coach I think would be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you're looking at your experiences, your passion, and the resources and tools that you have. Maybe you're better at helping the person make that first transition from addiction to recovery. Or, maybe you're better at helping them go from recovery to health. They've already kind of had the experience of being at least abstinent and, working a program, whether it's a 12-step or a health-based program, whichever, it doesn't really matter. But yeah.
I love how you say that, because when you talked about strengths and emotionally, you may not emotionally want to be there when they're just starting that recovery, because it may bring back too many memories, so if you're like, I can't work with someone who's just getting started. I need to be with someone who's maybe on step number 7, right? So if you know that about yourself, that helps to define what that niche is for you and who's ideal. So when folks that are in recovery start coming to you, you can say, so what step are you in? and qualify them. Those are the people you want to work with.
Yeah. And then also, even going a little bit further into recovery, you have the family and the partners of that person, which are still part of that, that addiction recovery world. they still have, like Recovery Nation, we work with partners and family members to go through their own process to, reach health. Mm-hmm. It's a different type of process, but it's still considered under that umbrella of recovery addiction. So we have coaches that actually work with just the partners because they don't want to work the recovery side. They want to work the healing side, which is, again, still part of that niche. So you're just kind of narrowing down the options within those niches.
Which really does widen, it does provide this wide range of people you can work with, where the people feel that it's cutting back on who they can help. A niche really widens who you can help when you have it really focused. And I was so thankful for the coaches that were there for me when I was going through as a partner of an addicted one. Because I know I kept being the enabler, and once I figured out, I'm part of the problem too, getting past that guilt of being the problem too, and then getting healthy enough to say, no, you're not putting that on me. And by the way, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it because you want to, not because it's my, Once those gains were identified, I could step into who I needed to be in the relationship and let him deal with what he had to. Oh my gosh, it was such an amazing, I didn't think I needed it. But once I went in the program, I was like, wow, this was amazing.
Absolutely. And that's the same reaction we get, from the partners on Recovery Nation. But again, it takes a certain personality and a certain temperament and a certain emotional intelligence, certain level of emotional intelligence, more so on the partner side than on the addict side. So again, it just kind of points to how important it is to make sure that you really do have a niche, and that within that broad niche, that overarching umbrella, that you have specifics. And so just like one of the top 5 things that I really would like coaches to think about when they're trying to niche down is, again, just quickly what I said earlier, is their interests, passions, their experience. I would definitely be looking at their EIQ, having them take an EIQ test, looking at the EIQ. That can give you a good indication of who you want to be with or work with and who would actually respond to you. And then also looking at your strengths. And so we have emotions, we have emotional intelligence, we have strengths, we have passions, interests, and then looking at your weaknesses. So where might you, fail or falter, and by choosing something that doesn't match where you have a weakness. And I'm kind of stumbling saying weakness. We don't like to admit that we have weaknesses, but we all have weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay to have weaknesses. It's okay to have faults. It's okay to have failure, right? We learn from failure. But if you can avoid it by taking these steps to choose a niche and get started. And here's the thing, if you choose a niche and you get into it and you don't like it, you don't like, you're not attracting the people you want to attract, and you're not, working the way you want to work with people, then you reevaluate and you look at it and say, okay, did I choose the wrong niche? Or maybe I'm in the wrong segment of that niche. Or maybe I need coaching on how to coach people in this niche. Either way, there's different ways to look at that.
And well, sometimes, and sometimes it's how we market ourselves in that niche. So we might not be using the right keywords. We might not be using the right kind of language, and we may not be looking in the right places for that target market, right? Yes. So sometimes we give up too soon, and then we start all over, and it's like, oh, that's worse. So I remember, where was I? I was at a conference, and one of the coaches said her grandfather told her, it's a great song that you're singing. You're just singing to the wrong people. He says, so go find the people who want to hear your song, And we have to really own the song. And when we own it, the right people will come, but we have to be where they are. And we have to do the research.
Yeah.
Find out where is there a market for what you want to do. Don't try and create this new fangled thing that, you say, heard this one. Well, nobody's doing such a, you know why? Because nobody wants that. Tap into what is already there and find a place for yourself inside something that's already established and people recognize.
Right.
So that
once you're established,
then you can
jump off and maybe do some experimenting. But when you're first starting your business, I don't feel like that's the time to do that.
I agree. You could spend some serious dough trying to create a new thing that nobody ever wanted. And I was coaching this one guy, and he says he created this software that he thought it was great, and he wanted to take it to Apple. And I said, why did you pick Apple? Don't you think they have their own engineers to? Well, apparently not, because it's not in the marketplace. I said, but there may be a reason why they don't have it in the marketplace yet. Well, I should bring them mine and they could just use mine. I'm saying, but why don't you let the common people use your software? Why don't you make it so everyone else can use it first? Because Apple will be more attractive once you've created your own market, piece of the market.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to do that. See, so that's the other thing. We need a coach. We need coaches. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Every coach needs a coach.
Go get a coach.
That's right. Every coach needs a coach.
We got to have a coach to help you think this stuff through.
Yeah.
Because you're working off of pure passion, and you need someone that has the reality to help you put things in place, right? Think it through, and go get a coach for 90 days just to help you get grounded and focused on doing the right things right. That's what I think.
Absolutely. And definitely, well, you said 90 days. I actually feel like we should all have coaches all the time. but definitely, I mean, I do. I have a coach all the time. And sometimes
the same coach?
No,
okay,
well,
you said two. Okay.
So I switch coaches. I keep one coach the same. My one coach, my kind of mindset, accountability, vent kind of coach is the same person. But the other coach that I usually use is helping me with different stages of my business that they're an expert in. So I might be with this coach for whatever, scaling up, or that coach to getting, when I was getting my systems in place, right? So there's different types of coaches for different scenarios. But definitely a business coach. You all need a business coach. I don't know what I would have done or what I would do now without a business coach. We need them. And I think a lot of coaches say, well, I can't afford it. And that's, of course, a consideration. But if you're struggling, you're never going to be able to afford it until you get somebody in there to help you.
And that's the other part is, okay, you put all this money into your coach training. You found that money somewhere.
Yep.
So you need to tap back into that to continue your training. Once you finish school, you need a coach to continue to work with you. So don't limit your growth or the opening of your door by saying, I can't afford it. You need to just keep some more monies aside so that you can, that coach can get you up and running quicker than if you try to do it by yourself. I'm here to tell you, just look, make the investment, you'll get it back.
Absolutely. And even in this area for niching down, I mean, like I said, I do these niche strategy sessions with WCI, and almost always out of a class of 12, I'm doing half the class. I'm having these sessions with, and all the same kind of problems, not knowing who to focus on, not knowing, what to do in their business and who to attract. And it's just having a coach, having somebody, a soundboard, somebody to help you figure that out. And then, of course, the follow-up marketing to that specific niche is going to be.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Right.
Yep.
Because
we're going to talk about the third week, right, is the marketing,
The
but
third month. Mm-hmm.
the third month, but still, it's still a consideration. When you start your business and you're not niching down, you're marketing to a big wide audience. You're not pulling in the pain points, again, the personality tweaks. I'm a big proponent of your personality needs to match or needs to gel with your client. So, and same thing for me, like for my coach, I need to make sure that I have a personality that gels with them and that they, respond to me the way I want to be responded to. And that takes them being able to niche down onto what my needs are and what my pain points are and what my personality is. So it just flows down, I feel.
And I like how you and talk about the experience. A lot of new coaches or young coaches will feel insecure in their business because they're new. But if you tap into your years of experience in that moment or transformation, you already come with
Absolutely
all of this credibility that you should be stepping on and saying, I know your pain. I've been there. I also know you can get past it because I did it. And when your passion comes through that way, that person doesn't care that you just got out of coach training. You went to coach training to learn how to coach. You didn't go there to learn how to live. You've already lived this moment. So
yeah.
I love when folks come with all these years of experience and then they have they cower because they feel like they don't have any credibility. I'm like, come on, no, we need to. I helped this one coach. She had years of experience in corporate America in HR. Man, within 30 days, we had her down that she was going to be a career coach. She was going to be coaching women in the C-suite, and she's going to be helping them focus on starting that second chapter in their life or going into retirement. And she's like flying off the roof now with, I see her everywhere. I'm like, oh, that was wonderful. And so, being with a coach who knows how to get you there. And once you get that definition and you can narrow that down, man, the possibilities are like crazy. And I love seeing when that light bulb goes on.
Yeah.
They are excited.
I agree. I think it's neat. I love to hear it in the voices when they figure it out and they're like, yeah, and they get excited, and that's where their passion comes in. And that's important. I think, I feel it's very important to have that passion. And then, when they get it, it's just like, all right, let's go. Let's move forward. Let's just shoot out the door. And that's.
So here's the bottom line. You got a niche. You got to figure out your target market, and you got to figure out your niche and make it happen so that you can open your doors and you can speak to the right people and they can find you. What do you think? Bottom line for you, what do you think?
Bottom line, just take your passion, take your experience, and really look at your strengths, your weaknesses, and niche down that way. Get into at least the main arena, and then work with somebody to get down deeper and figure out who your exact target audience is within that niche. I think that both sides are very important.
So Cheryl and I are going to give you some free gifts, and we're going to put them in the comments section down below so that you can, Cheryl has a map.
It's like a roadmap. It's a checklist, but it's kind of like a roadmap for mastering your coaching business.
Okay. And I have a 5-step guide for increasing your marketing savvy, especially if you're an introvert. So we're going to put those URLs down in the comments section below so that you can get them at your convenience. And we want to thank you for being with us today. We look forward to being with you on July 11th, where we're going to be talking about the 3 vital systems that every coach needs to manage their business.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Bye, everybody.